then just skip over it.
Yeah, that's fine. But if you'd like to, I mean, sometimes it's nice to hear answers from us so that you can just kind of hear, you know, how you would respond to questions and things like that. Usually when you do this, if you ask me a question in a demo, I'll give you an answer either from my own experience or an answer that I've heard somebody give me at a workshop. So we're not trying to trip you up. I'm just letting you know.
Make something up. Okay.
Yeah. So whenever you're ready, go for it. So the partner would have just introduced you and said, you know, gave a little bit of your bio, but if you'd like to start with that, just so we know who you are, just a little bit of a story of, you know, who you are and why you're at PCA, unless you're going to bring that into.
I'll do it probably a little bit later.
No problem. Good.
Okay. So do I assume you've already signed in or should I go through that part?
It doesn't hurt to go through that script because that's something that we have to make sure you have correct, the details of it so that you know what you're doing.
Okay.
So you can start with that.
Okay, so as you're coming in today, just want to make sure up on the screen you see there's a sign in for today's workshop, and want to make sure if you'll pull out your phone, you can text to the number on there. The information you want to include is all of the following. It's hashtag, number, okay, your phone number, obviously. No,
the phone number, they text to that number, 650-764. The number sign, you're going to get a number for the actual workshop. So it'll be like 1, 2, 3, 5 or something.
Yeah. So just make sure that with the hashtag and then the numbers, there's no space in between. That's something that will trip you up. We need your first name and your last name and your email address. So if you can text those on there, you should get a confirmation email. Is it a few minutes?
It should come immediately.
Conference checks back. Yeah, it seemed like in Jess's last night, it was taking a few minutes, not too long at all. So
it depends how strong the Wi-Fi is in the building when you're at too.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy last night. Okay, so we've gone through all that, and so I'm on the double goal. You want me to just go through it, or you want me to be like, Kelly, can you advance the slide? Or
oh no, just go through it like you would. I have it up here too, so I'm gonna just be following along with you.
Okay, so I'd like to welcome you to the PCA, the Positive Coaching Alliance Double Goal Coach Workshop. Has anyone here had an experience with PCA? Positive Coaching Alliance?
Nope.
No? Okay. Great. So basically one of our main goals with Positive Coaching Alliance is to assist and enhance coaches in developing better athletes and better people so that the youth sports experience is really solid for everyone included, everyone all around. So that's kind of what we'll go through tonight. And obviously we're all here to learn together. So it'll be a group effort and hopefully you'll put that effort in for us. I'm certain we have here today, you know, it looks like we have several coaches who have differing years of experience as well as diverse styles and strategies likely, and also probably a variety of experiences during our journey that led us to where we are coaching right now. So okay, so I'll do that later. I'll just keep going through. And today will be a bit of reflection and we can learn and grow with each other. So I just want to ask briefly, you guys okay with if I give you a couple challenges on reflection pieces and things tonight?
Sure.
Yeah.
Great. So that's basically what my players I call training on the edge. So I'm asking you to train on the edge a little bit, take a few risks. So everybody's good with that.
Nice. Nice.
Okay. What I'd first like you to do, you have a book and you have paper and pen at your desk. What I'd like you to do first is I'll give you about 30 seconds for each of these, so you don't need to think too long on them, but whatever comes to mind first. What I'd like you to do is write down one strength that you feel makes you a successful coach, or if you haven't coached yet, what you think will. Okay, and then next what I'd like you to do, secondly, is to choose an area that you feel you'd like to grow or develop as a coach. Okay, so would anyone like to share first what their strength they feel makes them a successful coach?
Sure, I will. I put my sense of humor, I think, is really helpful, especially at the age that I coach. I coach 10 and 11-year-old girls, and I have no problem being goofy and silly and trying to make them laugh. And I think that's really helpful. And
yeah,
then
that's a great quality because they, they can feel themselves there and feel a safe atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Do you want the second one too, or do you want?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I just wrote involving all players. I have a really diverse skill level at this age. Some that have never touched a stick before, and some of them that are, pretty good. So just getting all the players to be involved at all times equally in practice more than games. Like I think games, it's pretty easy because we do even playing time. But just in practice, trying to run a drill so that everybody can be involved, whether they can catch a ball or not, is pretty tough.
Okay. Ruben, do you have anything to add? Would you like to share?
Well, for me, I put down my teaching experience. I've been a teacher, and so I'm used to planning lessons and prepping and organizing. So I think that will help me as a coach as well.
Okay. So that time on task and moving through.
Yeah, I'm not going to go in there and wing it. I'm going to have a plan and and be prepared.
That's great. I think players
I'm not going to just show up.
Sure. And is there, what area do you feel like you'd like to grow or develop?
I think, this is my first time coaching soccer, and I didn't play soccer when I was young. So in terms of the actual techniques and strategies, how to coach this specific sport, I think I have a lot of room for learning.
Great. I think that's a good realistic view.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing I'd like you to do is just take, again, 30 seconds or so and write down what you feel is your best strength as a person, personally. Or one of your strengths.
I got a short list, very short list.
And then again, an area you'd like to develop as well as a person.
Okay. I think this is hard.
Okay, so which did you find easier, writing down something you feel you need to work on or develop, or something that's a strength?
I actually, even though I said I was kidded about a short list, I had something as a strength come to mind pretty quickly, actually.
Okay,
I had to think a little longer for the other one. Yeah.
I think as coaches, we need to realize that our players, a lot of times, especially depending on what the age they are, that they do struggle. They can list 10 things right away that they need to work on because people have told them probably. Yeah. And that they also need guidance to understand how important it is that they can understand their strengths and what they bring to the team. So I think that's important. And I think, this exercise here, just simply with you, we can agree that we need to develop and grow both as coaches and as people. And that's what we're going to ask our athletes to do. That's what we'd like our athletes to do. And that's PCA's mission, is to develop coaches who understand that when we create better athletes, we also are creating better people. So I'm Shannon McHale. I've been coaching for 25 years, a collegiate coach. Mainly, I have also coached youth, rec, club, Olympic development. So I have a wide variety of age groups that I've coached, but generally college has been my career. I've been involved with national championship programs, so teams that have won a national championship at the collegiate level. And also I've been involved with teams who have taken an entire season to really win a game or two. And, I've had players where they've never even played a sport before, let alone the sport we're playing. And so, for them as a coach, I think it's important to say, hey, I had this one girl specifically, hey, Lisa, she'd never touched a stick before or anything. We were doing lacrosse. I said, do you think that when the ball comes down the field, you could run in front of the cage, in front of the goalie, flash in front, and then run back around? And then as the ball gets closer, do the same thing. She's like, I can do that, coach. And I'm like, awesome. And then, when I saw her do it, I have to say, great job, Lisa. So I think we all have our struggles with different variety on a team sometimes. And I think, as a coach, what I would consider successful personally, not always those wins and losses. It's more, do my players have the courage to take risks? Am I creating that atmosphere for them? Do they have resiliency and mental toughness it doesn't ever feel good, I think, to make mistakes for most people, but can they grow from those mistakes? And then third, I think, do they have humility and do they have respect for them, themselves and others? So when I heard Jim Thompson, the founder of PCA, speak, I was like, yes, I am so on board. I need to get involved with this. So here I am, and working with you guys tonight. I'll be working together. So, essentially, if you haven't worked with PCA, we didn't have anyone here who did. I'm just going to give you a brief idea of who we are. As you're here tonight, we're hoping to help you develop as a coach. We reach over 80,000 coaches per year, training coaches in this way, in some different ways. Through our workshops, we reach over 3.3 million youth, around 2,500 live workshops like this one tonight. And also we have 1 million visitors to our PCA development zone, which, we'll get a little bit more into that. We'll describe that, but that's on our website, and it's such an amazing resource that you can use for a number of different things. We have the book that you have there in front of you today. When you text and signed up tonight, that will give you access to emails. They'll send you emails each week. I actually look forward to the emails every week. They're talking points and they're coaching points. And it either reminds me, hey, you have to pay attention to this, don't forget about this kind of thing, or it's something new that I've just never really seen. And so, as a college coach for quite a few years, I still use those and I look forward to them every week. And then again, we have development zone. So development zone is a really cool piece where if you have a question, maybe something as broad as how do I create the culture for my team, to something as small as not as small, but something more individual, or I'm having a problem with a parent. You can go in and search. Other people have answered those questions and might give you some, great ideas on how to do that. So Positive Coaching Alliance, obviously is the name, and we encourage positive coaching atmosphere for players. So I guess what I'd like to know from you guys is, what do you think what does positive coaching mean to you?
I think of a coach that I had that I would consider a positive coach, and she was really supportive. She was a lot of fun. We looked forward to going to practice. I felt like she was one of us. She wasn't like this dictator that sort of, told us what to do. She joked around with us. She wanted to get to know us. She would take us out for pizza. This is my college coach. And she just cared about us.
Really great.
He was always asking about how's it going? How was that test you took? How was that date you went on with that guy? It was like she cared about us. It was really cool.
Yeah. So more than just an athlete on the field.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously cared about your lives and what was happening.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. And so essentially it's creating an atmosphere that, supports your best possible performance. And sometimes that's outside the field. So players are feeling valued. Just to clarify, PCA is not your soft, feel good, false praise, non-competitive, everybody gets a ribbon. PCA Positive Coaching Alliance is creating positive atmosphere to, 1, strive to win, and 2, teach life lessons in youth sport. So what I'd like you to do right now, if you would, take that piece of paper back out and think of a coach. So Kelly, you just kind of mentioned this. Think of a coach, educator, or leader that you, 1, had a positive experience with. So you felt you grew, positive experience. Give you a few seconds to give that. And you can jot down a few things like why, like Kelly, you just mentioned, she cared about us more than just players. Okay, and then I'd like you to write down someone who maybe you had a more negative experience. So not necessarily maybe the person, but the atmosphere. So Ruben, can I ask you
Yes.
about a positive experience?
Yeah, yeah. The local boys club that I used to hang out growing up. It's now the Boys and Girls Club, and a guy by the name of Sal Rodriguez that coached us in a lot of sports and made it fun. And he would play himself. And like Kelly mentioned earlier, we knew he cared about us as people, not just as athletes. That's what came to mind.
Okay. And Kelly, do you have experience that you felt was maybe not so positive?
Yeah, I was actually just reminded of this last week by a friend. I played travel basketball one year, and we went down to Philly to play in this league. And I was from like the country, so it was like a bunch of white girls going down to the city. And our coach was his name was Dave Baker, and I don't remember specifically, but I just remember being so afraid to mess up because he would embarrass us. Like he would yell things across the court, and he would tease us, and he was a black guy too. And he would always say like, "Oh, you white girls can't shoot. You can't jump." Like, I just remember the feeling that he made me feel like if I messed up, he was going to let us know. I played travel basketball because I hated the way he made us feel.
Yeah. Okay. So both of you remembered though, the specific first name and last name of that person who either created a positive atmosphere or a negative atmosphere or made you feel a little bit kind of question yourself or how you felt. So, I think that's important to know that impact that we have as a coach and be mindful of that. So today, what we want to do is understand, share, and how to develop peak performance in our players, and also how to create a positive atmosphere. And some of us may be great at that, but certainly we can always grow as we ask our players to do. So we want to grow skills, strive to win, use teachable moments to help your players grow as players and as people. Has anyone here, as a coach, have you ever felt yourself being negative?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, raise your hand. So I think we all have in a moment, depending on what was happening in the game, what was happening in the practice, maybe even what happened during our day, and maybe we brought that to practice, and we shouldn't have. But I think it doesn't feel good to either give negative or to receive it. Right. And so I think experientially, we've learned that either by doing it and feeling kind of crappy about it, or having it done to us and feeling pretty crappy about it. So not only experientially have we learned that, but the research has proven that positive works. So, for us, PCA, we don't only go on experiential and, what we've experienced, but we also go, we're very heavily into research. And this slide here just shows, Barbara Fredrickson, psychology professor at University of North Carolina, she spells it out very simply here. There's a perception that the best way to get at what you want out of employees or players is negativity and threats, but it doesn't work as well as positivity. That's what the research shows. And so positivity is contagious. And if we as coaches can give that to our players, that's probably what we're going to receive back. So do either of you or anyone in the room feel that, did negative ever motivate you? It did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Ruben?
Quite honestly, I have a hard time thinking where I got motivated by negativity. For me, I would say no.
Okay. So Kelly, do you feel it motivated you in the short term or long term?
Probably short term. Like
Okay.
when I was young, by a coach, I would move because I would be afraid to let him down.
Right. So I had similar experience. I had coaches where they would tell us to go on a run to warm up, and this was soccer in particular, and they would kick soccer balls at the back of us and hit us as we were running away. Well, it certainly motivated me to run faster, right? I thought I was at my highest level, but I had another gear when they started kicking the ball at the back of my head. Today, that could never happen, obviously, but this was quite a while ago. So, the first time I had funny, but after the fifth time, it wasn't that funny. It was actually degrading. So, at what cost did that motivate me? And so I think we have to think about that as coaches long term. what's motivating. And obviously all the research is showing that positivity is much more motivating for players. And Sports Illustrated did a study also that shows that the benefits of a more positive approach coaching. So there's plenty of research out there. If you want to find it, you can find it. You can definitely get those resources on our website. What I'd like you to do is think on this for a minute. Do you think it takes more effort as a coach to be negative or positive?
Positive.
Positive.
More effort to be positive? Yeah, I mean, sometimes you find yourself, the negative's coming out and you actually can't stop it. You want to suck it back in. It just doesn't happen. So I think, it's very easy to just say what you're thinking versus actually taking a moment and calming yourself and being able to find a positive so the players can grow, maybe a teachable moment for you. And one of PCA's foundations is rewarding effort, and realizing that rewarding effort, you have a better opportunity or greater opportunities for success. Effort is expected of our players. That's what we expect our players when they come to practice. Hopefully they give effort on whatever we're asking them to do. And I think as coaches, we have to understand the impact we can have on players, that we really have to put that effort in to create a positive atmosphere. So reward effort, not just results. What do you think would be the long-term effects of only rewarding results?
I think if the results don't go well, the players don't think they played well. So they just equate the score with how they played. And there could be games where they had an awesome game and they lost, and they don't get to see the reward in that. Or if they had a game where they played terribly, but they won, they don't think about how they played. It's just how the scoreboard ended up.
Right.
Yeah, so you got a problem if your team isn't as strong as the opponent, or if you're a player and you got other players on your team that can do it better, and if all that the coach does is reward results, then that seems like a problem.
So yeah, I mean, sometimes there are teams who aren't as good, but they beat better teams, and a lot of it is effort. So I think rewarding that consistently will get players to that level at times that they need to dig deep and find that. So, potential for growth, improvement, they can grow as people and learn to move on from mistakes if we're positive. And, again, we're striving to win, but also teach life lessons, and those can go hand in hand. And, not only is all the research showing experientially, we've learned that, but also elite coaches agree. We have a lot of elite coaches on our trustees, as a board of trustees, over 200. And you can go through and search those if you'd like, see who's there. But, Phil Jackson, who has won several national championships, in page 3 of your book, he says, I agreed to be the national spokesperson for PCA when Jim Thompson asked me to, because I believe so strongly in the kind of sports culture that PCA is fighting for. So obviously he sees, even at his level, that it's really important to build this during the youth sport time. And then, I think one thing that has really hit home to me, the UCLA softball coach who won several national championships, Sue Enquist, she said, we all have, especially players, we all have negative self-talk and we all have doubts. Players have that. Rather than magnifying that for them when they make a mistake, teach them through practice, etc. Teach them to always let their strong voice get the last word. And I think that's really important as a coach. You can make an impact to teach them how to do that. So, if we talk about positivity and how much that helps to create an atmosphere, what actually does negativity do? And, we have world-renowned sports psychologists, you can see 2 here, that say, essentially, most simply, it just distracts you from the task that you're trying to complete. And certainly we want our players on task and focused. So would we agree that positivity works better? Negativity distracts. So if that's the case, why do you think, you can just share with the person next to you, why do you think there's so much negativity in sports? Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so anyone want to share why they think there's negativity in sports?
I think that there's a lot of pressure on parents. I think it's the parents are 100% the reason for the negativity in sports.
Okay, great.
They just put too much pressure on their kids, and they scream too much, they yell too much, and the kids feel that pressure, and it makes the coaches frantic. And I think parents are just a little crazy.
Okay, Ruben, anything?
Yeah, Ruben had to get off, he had to go to the doctor, but Ruben would say Ruben would say that he doesn't believe that coaches have enough information. He would say that he thinks that they're just not educated enough to understand that actually being positive can help their athletes perform better. So it's lack of education.
Okay.
And it's easier. It's easier to yell at somebody than it is to think about how do I constructively criticize someone rather than just saying, get up, move, do, whatever you're going to do.
Right. Okay. So can I take a moment, or you want me to just keep going?
No, go ahead, whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay. So what I was going to do here, which I kind of like, but time-wise, I don't know, and then kind of wanted to get your opinion out. So I'll go ahead and do it, I guess, if it's okay. Yeah. So from your paper, the second exercise we did where you wrote down one positive and one negative person that you remembered, what I'd like you to do is choose the side of the room you'd like to go to. You feel that the person made the most impact on you. So you have to pick your positive person or your negative person making the most impact.
Okay.
I'll give you, get over there, discuss for a minute if you'd like to. So can we agree? Some of you who chose negative, that impacted you, but did it impact you in a positive way?
Did the negative coach impact us in a positive way? No.
Right. So there's nothing that we research, that we show, that we experience that negative affects us in a positive way on a long term.
Mm-hmm. The only way it affected me positively was because when I became a coach, I didn't want to be like them.
Sure. Yeah, definitely can learn from that. So PCA's vision, obviously Positive Coaching Alliance, we use sports psychology research. We use some best practices from great coaches to develop better athletes and better people. That's what our main goal is. You have support from the PCA. As I mentioned, you have the book, you have the practical tools, the online guides. So not only do we want to hear from the research and the elite coaches, we want to hear from our coaches out there who are coaching youth sport, what makes a great youth sports experience. So, anybody, what would you share about that?
I think if kids are having fun and they are making friends on their team, I think that's really important. Because if they don't want to spend time with people, they're not going to put a lot of time and effort into it.
Okay, so feeling connected with other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and each day
I think they have to feel some kind of success. It's got to be. I don't know. I always say I think winning is a big part of it, because if they're going to feel like it's a good experience. I remember the teams that I was on that we did really well.
Right, of course.
So I remember wins from other teams, but I remember the championship teams.
Yeah, I would agree. Believing you can improve then, each day you go to practice, an atmosphere that, hey, I can get better today. Mm-hmm. Not being anxious about, am I going to get yelled at? And then, feeling proud about the values you show when you're out there on the field, your teammates do, your coach does, the culture of your program, let's say. What do you think would happen if players feel those things? So they feel connected, they believe they can improve, they are proud of their values and their integrity.
I think they're going to do great. I think they're going to be more successful, and I think they're going to come back year after year and want to play more.
Yeah, like you with your travel, like Kelly with her travel team, didn't want to go back because she was degraded and just didn't feel like it was a great experience. So, and these are some of the PCA's, our coaching model, some of the core pieces of it. So being connected, we'll go through these tonight. Being connected, so filling a player's emotional tank, improving the Elm Tree of Mastery, which is effort, learning, and mistakes. being able to bounce back from mistakes, and then integrity, honoring the game, honoring your teammates, yourself, the officials. So those are, that's where we're headed tonight. And I think it's important to realize as coaches that we create a positive atmosphere where players feel safe, so they can, a player could say choose courage when they come to practice over comfort. So, we all do it. How many people have chosen, you have a choice when you go into a situation, you're going to choose courage or you're going to choose comfort. And a lot of times it depends on the risk, but you either risk, learn and grow, and that's courage, or you stay at the same level, which is in your comfort zone. So choosing courage, choosing comfort, what do you want to model for your players and what do you want them to do when they're at practice? And, as a coach, you will leave a legacy. And what legacy do you want to leave? So Herm Edwards, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll, what I have you do right now is take your activity paper back out, the paper you've been writing on. And I just want you to briefly write down 2 to 3 words or short phrases that you would like to leave as a legacy. So down the road, your players are all hanging out, chatting about coach. What do you want them to say about you? Or what do you think they would say about you? I guess, what would you like them to say about you? Okay, and so Kelly, give me a few things. What do you think your legacy would be? What do you want it to be?
Yeah, I think I've had this just happen a couple times recently, and a couple that my daughter just graduated from high school, and so her friends that she played with, I actually coached when they were in 3rd and 4th grade, and they were cracking up that I was still coaching like 3rd and 4th graders. And so as they were graduating seniors, I got to talk to some of them, and some of them said, gosh, I just remember we had so much fun that season. I don't remember if we won any games, but they just remember laughing a lot and having a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And then the one girl said, I remember we had so much fun on your team that I didn't want to play the next year because my coach was a jerk. And I was like, oh no. That's not
yeah, I mean, I
was like, okay, I have to slow down a little bit, not be that much fun so that they don't hate their coach next year.
But that's the atmosphere you want to create, that they remember years down the road. So what the only other thing I'd like you to do is there any kind of gap between what you want them to say and what they would actually say? And I think for me, I try to remind myself, mind that gap. Am I actually doing what I want to have happen? So I'm actually creating that atmosphere, or do I just want to create that atmosphere? And that's a really good reality check, I think, to do that every so often. So I just call it minding the gap. And I try and do that with a lot of different things, but especially legacy. And at PCA, that's essentially what we want to do. The double goal coach is striving to win and teaching life lessons. And I think you have to, again, really be mindful of, are you doing what you're trying to do when you're out there? So I think the win at all cost coaches are really being phased out, and they're, understanding, or hopefully we're getting to people and having them understand that positivity is a much better road for everyone involved. Back to the other, where they come together. And then, so let's just dive in and explore the first, PCA principle we saw a few slides ago, which is filling the emotional tank for our players.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. A little long. My stopwatch turned off, so I don't know how long it actually was, but it looks like it was probably 25 or more.
Yeah. But you know what? I have some suggestions on how you can cut down on that. Okay. So I wouldn't be worried about it at all. How did you feel going through that? Did you feel pretty confident?
Good. I mean, I definitely, as you go, smoother, you know what I mean? And it is hard talking to a computer, okay, so Kelly, you want to ask for feedback, should I? So
right. I get it.
But I think there are some things that I would like to add in, like I did there, probably too many. But until I go through the whole thing, I think, and see, I can pull this out of the intro and put it in this lesson. And that's kind exactly of what I haven't been able to do yet.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I wouldn't take out any of the activities or anything that you did, but knowing what's coming next, there's a couple of them. I think you should just not put it in the intro. Just get through. And that's the other thing too. I think, because this is the first demo, it's the introduction, and you want to give give me everything, give me everything you got all in one
Right.
shot. So I always say, think of the introduction to the workshop as the trailer. Like, this is the quick, brief, get through it. I mean, we want you to I love that, like, you had us write it down. I love those first two questions. One strength that makes you a successful coach and one area you'd like to grow. I think that's a fantastic question. And I love that you're getting pen to paper right away. People are comfortable with that. You're not asking them to, stand on their heads the second the workshop starts. It's something that they are going to reflect right away. And that's awesome. When you've had us do it like a couple more times, that I would probably spread out.
Yeah.
Just, I think it's just too much up front, and people are like, wait, didn't you just, and it was a little confusing. I think you had a goal in mind, but when you said, what is your best strength as a person? And then what's your, how do you want to grow as a person? That was, I think it was just a little confusing because I was like, where are you trying to get? And I afterwards, I understand where you were going with it, but actually having to do the activity, I'm like, well, I still think my sense of humor is a pretty good quality. I wasn't changing.
That's one point I meant to make is that I meant to ask, did anyone's overlap?
Yeah.
Because then it does, like, then it's better player, better people are actually like together. But yeah, maybe just use the first.
I think the first question's fine. Okay. Yeah. The first question's good. And, I think also you brought up the point that it's really hard for kids to find strengths in themselves. And I think that seems like something that I can just tell just from talking to you, that's something that you like to bring out in your players. So it might be good to kind of add that in as a little nugget that coaches, like, are you the kind of coach that is constantly trying to bring out the strengths in your players? Because as we all know, kids are going to be hard on themselves, and it's very hard for them to, when you ask somebody like, oh, what are you good at? They're like, I don't know. I'm not good at anything, Right. So I think that might be a good nugget to put in there, but I thought it was great. Another thing, when you watch this, because this is recorded, when you watch this back, I want you to notice how your demeanor changes when you're telling a story versus when you're giving PCA facts. Yeah. Because the PCA, like, your face is serious. You're not smiling. You're like, because you don't know them. Right. But then telling a story like, hey, Lisa, here's what I want, you just come alive. So I'm going to ask you to try to just be, nobody will remember the facts. Nobody will remember the statistics. Everybody will remember the stories. So
I just have to plug my computer in. It's dying pretty quick.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
But yeah, it's, I think that's the thing. What I was saying to you is like, I just don't, like you said to me, think about it. You're really not going to be that good until probably 10 of them in, because
it takes time.
Like, some people have it. So like, it's the only one I've seen that I thought was really like, holy crap, this guy looks like he's done 10 already,
Right.
But
well, the reason I'm using him as a demo too. Not everybody looks like him.
Okay.
I said, he's the reason I'm using him as a demo too, because not everybody does it like, I don't think I could do it as smoothly as he did it.
Yeah, he was really good. And you find yourself quickly comparing, and it's like, oh, and then it's like, no, don't. Same thing I tell my players, don't compare yourself to other people. No. Yeah, I think there were a couple of things that I wanted feedback on from you, so I threw them into the introduction. So that's kind of, I'll email you and say, what do you think about these things? But and
some of it too, like, I mean, I'll just, because I have it up right now. Let me just show you. So like this, when I go through this part, and I'll pull up. Okay, can you see that slide?
Yeah, this was really like, I just kind of not natural.
Like when I go through, let me see. When I start with this, like this is the slide where you can have us write about our strengths. We are double goal coaches, right off the bat. And sometimes I'll do, tell me about a coach that's impacted you the most. Sometimes I'll say, what is your greatest challenge as a coach? And what is your greatest strength as a coach? However you want to phrase it, I think it's great for them to think about their own experience right off the bat. And then I asked them, how many of you have ever heard of PCA? No, not that many of you. Well, guess what? 80,000 coaches a year hear about us. I don't read statistics. I just put them up there and go, these are annual statistics. So obviously we have a big reach and we're growing every day. So thank you for your support. That's all I say on that, because getting into, nobody cares. I mean, they care that there's big numbers up there.
Like whatever. Yeah.
And then this is quick too. Like, okay, obviously we're a positive coaching alliance. What does this mean to you? And then, have us just ask that real quick. And then getting into the power of positive. I think this is impactful for people to quote. People like quotes.
Yeah.
So being able to take this slide, the point of this slide is not that obviously positivity works better, but Dr. Barbara Fredrickson is not only studying sports teams here. She's studying, businesses and students and relationships. So when you're talking about, and she's also coined the word upward spiral. So all of you that have said, oh, sports aren't what it used to be, that's the downward spiral of things. she's saying that your emotions as a leader are contagious. So you have a lot of power to change your team and to make it a really positive experience. Just like if you went into work tomorrow and the boss that you had that's been on your case all week or all month, all of a sudden he was the happiest person ever. Imagine what that would do to your workplace that you're in every day. So just, you can make a statistic on a slide into a situation or a story that people will relate and connect to.
Okay.
And then this is a big, people like to see who's on board because they want to know that it's Shannon's message. So I can touch on, I mean, I don't want you to go slow on any slides, but this one is one where I leave up for a little bit. And I usually I don't go through every single name, but I'll say, okay, some of you might recognize these people. Some of you might not. There's 112 total National Advisory Board members. Here's 8 of them. If you are familiar with any of these, call out a word to describe these people. And everybody will just call out winner, champion, strong, amazing athlete, tough. And I'll say, boy, is that a word that you would use to describe positive coaching? Most people think positive coaching is giving out a trophy to everybody and everybody's a winner and cheering for the play, whether it's a good play or a bad play. Here are professional coaches and athletes at the highest level of their game that has said positivity works better, period. And they're getting paid lots of money. Like their job is on the line and they believe positivity works better. And most of the people that you're going to be at your workshop with, Shannon, are volunteers. So they're getting paid nothing. I heard that at a workshop one time and I was like, that's a really good point, that volunteer coaches are screaming at kids to get them to perform. And Steve Kerr, who's getting paid, how much money? I should look up what his salary is, but close to $1 million says, no, that doesn't work.
Right.
Being positive will work. So all these coaches out there that you see that are coaching, U6 soccer, you're not going to lose your job. I guarantee it.
They probably begged you to do it.
Exactly. So, just ways to make, I call them the boring slides, because what we really want you to do is get to the principles. Because once the intro is just supposed to be, wet their whistle, get them excited, get them wanting to hear more about it, couple stories, couple anecdotes, for them to see, especially if they've never heard of PCA. If you ask that question to a room, how many of you are familiar with Positive Coaching Alliance? And 90% of the people raise their hand, zip through this history stuff quickly. They don't need to be told that positivity works if they've sat through a workshop.
If they've already done it, right?
So, you can just skip right through. The whole, these slides too, well, you can't see it now, but the ones that are like what negativity does, what positivity does, you can tell. You can read a room pretty easily. Right. If you have buy-in, go quickly through that.
Yeah.
If you don't, if people are like, well, I scream at kids and I think
works for me.
You're going to get a heckler. You're going to get somebody that says, my players need me to be tough on them. My players need me to scream at them.
Right.
I had a high school soccer coach that said, I scream and yell at my girls all the time. And we have 7 state championship banners. And I was like, really? You've been coaching for 24 years. You've only won 7 state championships? And he just went, I'm just saying, maybe there's
the thing is, you may have state championships, but like, what are those women doing now? Like, what is their mindset?
How many weddings have you been invited to? Probably not many. Yeah, exactly. It's true.
That's always that's always a good indicator. How many weddings have you been invited to?
24 years. How many weddings have you been invited to? Probably. How many children have been named after you? I don't think there's very many. Yeah, so just kind of read the crowd and see. And, PCA never says you have to hit every single slide. We're just trying to get you to connect with the group and, just keep rolling. Right. These slides, the slides that say like the vision of PCA, again, that's something, and I never read them up so that they're magically appearing behind me, but I know the slides a lot better than you do. But I just say, okay, here's, what is our vision? Our vision is not for Kelly Kratz to tell you how to coach. Our vision is to get the best sports psychology research and talk to the best coaches out there. And I'm just a sharer of information. And I tell the coaches all the time, you are a better coach than me at your sport for your kids, I'm sure. Because I don't know your kids, and I might not know your sport, and I don't know your school, and I don't know your area. But what I do know is what generally will motivate kids better to perform and how to get them to want to come back and have a great experience. So that's what I'm here to share with you. So that way I'm off the hook when you've got a room full of football coaches going, what's this chick going to teach me about football?
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not here to teach you about football. I'm here to share something with you. You teach me how to apply it to football, but I'm not here to teach you how to coach football.
Right.
So. And then again, I thought you did a nice job when you were talking about the talking points in the dev zone. Like, I love it when a trainer actually sounds like they use it. And you really did. Like, you sold it. I was like, wow, I want to get this email. Like, I want to find out what's on here. So yeah. I thought that was really great. Yeah. So just move through it a little bit quicker. What else do I think? Oh, I like it when you have them think of a coach that was a positive experience and a negative experience. I once heard a trainer say, who was a coach that was a mentor and who was a coach that was your tour mentor? And I was like, "Ooh, that's catchy." Like, I kind of liked that. Like,
what was the second one?
Tormentor. Who tormented you?
That's really good, actually.
Yeah, I thought that. I've stolen that. I've used it ever since. I was like, that's actually really good. I love the idea of getting them up to stand, you know, one side of the room or the other side of the room. When you asked about which one had the greater impact, again, I was like, where's she going with this? Like, because I think you're going to get both. You're going to have coaches that say, oh, no, that negative coach, that left a huge impact. And then you're going to get some that say, oh, it's a big impact for the positive one. So when you ask, like,
I specifically put that in there because I wanted your feedback on it, because like what I think would be the point, I thought after I did, it was like, yeah, this isn't really gonna, but that's why I wanted to try it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think that's awesome. You showed courage over comfort. Thank you. A way that you could do, and a way that I've done it is do you agree? Positivity works better. Negativity distracts. Like, I've done that on a line and said, okay, if you totally agree, I want you on this side of the room. If you disagree, I want you on this side of the room. And if there's enough people, if there's like 20, 30 people in the workshop, it's great. I wouldn't do it with 100 people at a workshop.
Right.
But it's actually a pretty healthy debate. Like, why does this side of the room believe that positivity works better? Why does this side of the room still believe that negativity is still effective? Right. It's just kind of a way. I like getting them up, getting them moving to one side.
And you don't have to come to a conclusion, obviously.
Yeah.
You can hear their different, people can hear their different things. And
yeah. And it's a healthy debate, and a lot of times what happens is the coaches that are like in favor of negativity, then you can sort of debunk, like, yes, in the moment, negativity works. If I scream at my kids, and they will move, I guarantee it. Yeah. But in the long term, and you said it yourself, I love the way you said, how did you even phrase it? Oh, like the first time, it's funny. The first time somebody yells, okay, I got it. I got the message. But the fifth time, it's degrading. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Not something that and that's the perfect place to put in that story that you said about the coaches kicking balls at your head. Did negativity work? Yeah, it motivated me. But after the fifth or sixth time, I was like, man, this is not making me a better player. It's not making me a better person. So, and I think that's the key too, that will negativity make you a better player? Yes. In the short term, it might. Will it make you a better person? Right. In the long run? No. It's going to make you have doubt, shame, embarrassment. You're going to be second guessing yourself. You're going to lose confidence. So, as a win at all cost coach, that's why win at all cost coaches are more negative, because if you scream, they might run faster. They're going to mark up on defense if you scream at them. Absolutely. In the long run, will it make them better people? No. So I thought that was good. I like the way you read about Phil Jackson's forward too. Not many people do that. I thought that was really effective. I like that. The Sue Enquist story, awesome. Love Sue Enquist. She's also a National Advisory Board member. Like her, she's contributed a lot to our workshops. Save that for mastery.
That's kind of what I was like. Now, will I get a copy of this, or am I supposed to be writing all this stuff down?
No. You can get a copy of it. I'm still recording. Yeah,
that's why. Because I was like, I wanted to put that in because I wanted your feedback on it, but I knew like there's just too much in the intro, so I probably should have even picked up on that. But.
No, I think it was great. But I would save it because you're talking about mastery right there, and teaching them to get the strong voice to say the last word. I think that's overcoming mistakes and resilience and all that. So I would save that. Definitely save mastery. And I loved your little phrases. Like, I love it when a coach, it sounds like a coach is coaching me, like your choose courage over comfort, like just things like that you're saying. I'm like, you can just tell you're a coach. And these little phrases are the phrases that really start to make a culture. So when you get to like down at the very end of the workshop, when you get to establishing a culture, you can bring in all of those phrases. And, I always tell the story at the end of the workshop. I have a player that went through breast cancer when she was 24. I coached her when she was in high school, and I saw her a couple years ago, and she didn't have any hair. And I was like, Casey, oh my gosh, are you okay? And she said, I just went through chemo. I finally finished chemo. And she can coach you saying you're stronger than you think you are. And like, you know, I remember that was something I used to say a lot when the girls were like tired or hot. And I was like, you're stronger than you think you are. You're stronger than you think you are. But then she's telling me like she remembered that when she was going through chemo and like radiation. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But those little phrases you say, but that's establishing the culture on your team. I wanted my whole team to know that. So you're saying, you know, choose comfort over courage. I want my kids to be resilient. Like just those things that you say, Shannon, that's really clear that that's the culture of the team that you're trying to establish. So I love those little phrases, little coach phrases that you throw in. It shows us who you are too as a coach, which is super cool. And like minding the gap, I think that was a great analogy. That's a great thing to talk about too. So I think your challenge is because you have so many great activities and so much great stuff. Once you look through the whole workshop, it's picking and choosing where to put things when.
Okay.
And that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. I don't want to do too much. So I think what I'll do now is kind of go through each of them and figure out where I'd put the activities. And then maybe, you know, like you said, a couple opportunities to do more training with you. You know, say, what do you think about this one? You know, that type of thing. But I know go ahead.
Once you know the pace of the whole workshop, it's easier to go back and say, okay, I think that area I need a little more activity, and maybe that part I talked too long, and you know, you kind of get a sense for like, well, people are up in a group at this spot, so I want them to sit down for a few minutes now, and then I'm going to have them write this time, and then I'll have them talk to them. But like, just mix it up. I always think of it as like a special, you know, concerto where you've got like the high points, the low points, the active parts, the quiet parts. And as long as you sort of keep it going throughout the whole workshop, you get a flow. And you're still going to have workshops where on the drive home, you're like, I totally forgot to do that.
I think the thing that I wanted to do, the reason why I was using the paper a little more than anything, and is because say you spread that stuff out and they end up with 5 different activities they've written on paper, or 4, maybe 1 for each session. Then they actually walk away with something that's super personal, they can hang on their bulletin board and be like, okay, I got to remember these things or whatever. So that was kind of the point of that, but through the whole thing. I mean, I like something I can walk away with and be like, oh yeah, like when I went to Women's Coaches Academy, we wrote a mission statement. We created a mission statement in those 4 days, and it was on my bulletin board for like 10 years. So
yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. Also, I mean, I also have a lot of, you can see in my books all written in, like the front cover of the book is blank. So I have them use that as scrap paper. A lot of times, if they have books, if they've ordered books for the workshop, I'll have them write, like, find a blank page. The front page is blank. The back page is blank. Sometimes I'll have them write on the front page, you know, something, and then I'll have them at the end of the workshop write on the back page so that they can go back through and say, like, this is what the kids think of you. This is what you want them to think of you at the end. Or now that you've gone through the whole workshop, now at the end of the book, now what do you think makes a great youth experience?
It's actually a great idea because then they have it in one place.
Yeah. But others have handed out sticky notes. Like every couple rows, they'll put like a stack of sticky notes. So if people want to jot down anything on a sticky note, the first workshop that I ever went to as a coach, the trainer had us write down how you want to be remembered. And he made us write it on a sticky note and stick it on our clipboard, our coach's clipboard. And for that whole season, I had this thing staring at me, this bright orange sticky note that said, I want the kids to know that I love them regardless of how they perform, and I want them to enjoy the experience. And, you know, as you have that staring you in the face on the clipboard when you feel like screaming at a group of kids, I was like, I can't scream. I want them to know I love them. I don't care how they're playing. I love them, you know. So it was just a good little reminder.
Yeah. And isn't it funny that goal that you just said, like that you wrote on your sticky, like that's whether they're 9 or whether they're in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, same, I want them to know I love them. So, you know, that kind of thing. So it's just interesting how it follows all the way through. So.
It is. And I feel like I was promoted because I started coaching college right out of college. And then I coached high school, and now I'm coaching, you know, 10-year-olds. So I kind of went backwards, but I always felt like, man, it was so good to see what college kids were like coaching them, and then to see what high school kids were like. So now that I'm coaching the little guys, I'm like, man, I got to make you guys love this sport and learn to love working hard, because I hated it when I got to the high school level and they were like, oh, this is so hard. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to make you guys love running. Exactly. I don't know what I got to do, but I got to make you love.
All right, cool. I appreciate all the feedback.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So are you going to be able to get together with Jess? How was the workshop last night, by the way? She did parents?
It was good. Yeah, I just went to one of them. She had 2 back-to-back. And so I went to one, and it was a kind of a rough climate as far as like they had a lightning delay and kids were coming in and out and coaches were talking and it was really loud. So I thought she did a great job of like kind of just getting through it. But yeah, it was good. I mean, I could definitely see just, you know, going into that as well. So I think she's saying that Beth kind of wants to really like know what I can do ASAP.
I'm sure.
Because I guess they're, you know, with them, they have the 6 sessions that they do with different groups or whatever. So, you know, I think I may get thrown in there a little bit before it's quite smooth enough, but whatever, I guess you figure that out as you go.
That's perfectly fine. That's how, I mean, a lot of us like talk about old school, like that's how we were trained. It was like, oh, teacher, you know what you're talking about. You're a coach. Great. Here's the PowerPoint, learn the workship. You're scheduled for a workshop on Saturday. And I was like, what? Like, I can't do this. You know, it's baptism by fire. You buckle up and do it. You get better as you go and hope that nobody cancels a partnership because of your workshop.
Exactly. All right, cool. Thanks, Kelly.
So, you know, whenever you're ready, if you want to do this with me again, or I'll talk to Jess if she'd rather do it live with you. Okay. That's great. I usually sign off after I see you do one of the principles.
Okay.
Like I want to see how you handle the tools, how you get the coaches to practice the tools in the workshop and, you know, things like that. That's the final for this course to say, yes, I sign off. Shannon do the intro and I've seen her do one of the principles and I'm confident that she can go out and do this at a live workshop. So if you want to schedule that with me, you can. If Jess and Beth and Mason or whoever want to get you to do it in the office live, sometimes they can pipe me in through. So let me know what you if you want to do it with me or with them.
All right. Fine. Sounds good.
All right.
Have a great weekend. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.